It was raining pretty hard, and I was honestly flustered when I realized the rear driver's side was flat. A man in a pickup stopped, and I accepted his offer to help. Seemed polite enough, and I was already late. I wrote down his license plate number just in case, like my dad always told me to do, and then I drove on. He mentioned he was heading the same way and would follow to be sure I made it to a garage. The job's all right, honestly. Grocery deliveries started about a month ago. Keeps me moving, pays the bills. It's mostly apartment buildings and those bigger houses on the outskirts. People who just don't have the time, I guess. The app sends the route. You drop off the bags, get a signature, and move on. Simple. I was heading towards the older part of town, a cluster of deliveries near the community college. That's when my phone buzzed. A text. No sender ID. Just a number. Careful on Elm Street. Potholes. Elm Street, I checked the map on the app. Wasn't even close to my route. I hadn't told anyone where I was going, hadn't mentioned anything about deliveries to, well, anyone really? It felt wrong, like someone was listening in on a conversation I hadn't had. I almost deleted it. Told myself it was a wrong number, some automated alert gone haywire, but the detail felt deliberate. When I pulled up to the first house, I noticed a dark car parked a couple doors down, just sitting there. I didn't recognize it. I finished the delivery, signed receipt in hand, and glanced back. The car was gone. I almost mentioned it to the customer, a young woman with a baby. Did you see a dark car parked down the street? But what was the point? It probably wasn't anything. I just didn't say anything. I checked the app again, scanned the order notes, nothing. No special instructions, no alerts about the area, just groceries. But the text kept replaying in my head. Elm Street, potholes. The texts kept coming. Same number, always. Not threats, not even accusatory, just details, small things. It started with the weather, oddly specific to my location. Then it shifted. One morning a message, careful with the handle on your blue mug. I nearly dropped my coffee. That mug had a hairline crack, one I'd been meaning to glue. Then it was the podcast, the one I listened to during deliveries, the true crime one. Interesting case they're covering this week. I hadn't told anyone I listened to that show. I started altering my route, taking different streets, trying to shake something I couldn't name. And that's when I noticed the car. A dark sedan. It wasn't always directly following, but I'd see it. Parked a block over, turning onto a side street as I did, always there in my periphery. I blocked the number. Didn't matter. The messages still arrived, ghosted through the network or something else. I mentioned it to my roommate, Sarah. She urged me to go to the police. I almost did. Almost walked in and tried to explain how someone knew about my chipped mug and my podcast. But it sounded insane, even to me. I just didn't. Then the timing changed. The messages weren't just observant, they were predictive. Dog getting out on Maple, one red. 5 minutes later, a golden retriever bolted through an open gate, right as I was pulling up to a delivery. It was exactly as the text described. I froze, hand halfway to the grocery bag. The customer came outside laughing, trying to coax the dog back. I just signed for the receipt and left. It wasn't coincidence. I knew that now. The texts, they stopped being observations. They weren't just knowing things anymore. They were personal. My grandmother's birthday, I hadn't mentioned it to anyone in months, and then a childhood nickname, one my mom used, and only my mom. It felt like someone was sifting through old photo albums in my head. I spent hours scrubbing my social media, deleting old posts, changing privacy settings. It felt pathetic, like hiding crumbs from a predator that could smell a feast a mile away. I found something, though, buried in a high school yearbook photo. A tag, a name. Didn't recognize it at first. Arthur something. I dug around, found a deactivated profile, sparse, almost wiped clean. But it was enough to find an old address. Near my high school. He'd moved away years ago, but the new address, it was close. Uncomfortably close to where I grew up. Then I checked the app. Stupid. I know. Searched for the name. And there it was. A recent delivery to a vacant lot. An empty field near his last known residence. I should have told Sarah, should have explained it all. Let her talk me down, but I didn't. What would I even say? Someone who knew my grandmother is sending me cryptic texts and ordering groceries to an empty field. The latest one came just an hour ago. Enjoying the weather? It won't last. I was making a delivery on the other side of town, a quiet residential street, and as I pulled up, I saw him, the dark sedan parked at the end of the block, facing away. I killed the engine, locked the doors. My hands were shaking so badly I almost couldn't get the key in. I sat there for a long moment, breathing, trying to convince myself it was just a coincidence. Then I noticed the man walking towards me. Slow, deliberate. He wasn't looking at the houses, wasn't looking at anything but my car. I put the car in drive and pulled away. Fast, didn't look back, didn't need to. I knew he'd be there. I had to see it, had to understand something. Drove to that lot after my last delivery. Even though every instinct screamed against it, it was overgrown. Weeds swallowing the edges, a patch of dirt baking under the late afternoon sun. Nothing, just empty. Then I saw it, a single rose lying on the ground, white, but the petals were browning, curling at the edges, like it had been placed there a while ago. I knelt, touched a petal. That's when I heard the engine. Familiar. I looked up. The dark car. Blocking the exit. No surprise, really. I should have expected it. Should have turned around. He got out slowly, unfolding himself from the driver's seat. Older than the picture, lines etched around his eyes. But it was him. The man from the yearbook. He didn't rush, didn't raise his voice, just smiled. A calm, unsettling expression. "Following your progress," he said, his voice quiet. "Admire your dedication to the route." I swallowed, my mouth suddenly dry. "What is this? Why are you doing this? The texts, you know, things, personal things." I stopped myself. Didn't mention the grandmother, the nickname. Too much. He tilted his head, that same unsettling smile. "Just ensuring everything runs smoothly, Thomas." He knew my name, hadn't told him, never met him. It felt like the air had been sucked from my lungs. I fumbled for my phone, tried to snap a picture, anything to have proof. The screen flickered, went black. Just dead. I pressed the power button again and again. Nothing. He didn't react. Didn't seem to even notice. Just watched me struggle with the useless device. Then, without another word, he got back in the car, started the engine, waited a beat, then slowly pulled away, leaving me standing there alone in the field, the dead phone heavy in my hand. I didn't call Sarah. What would I say? The messages never stopped. Not after the police shrugged, not after I changed my number, not even after I quit Quick Run. They just adapted, became less about predicting, more about reflecting. I'd think about needing milk, and a text would arrive, running low. I'd worry about a weird noise in the apartment, and seconds later, old building, they settle. I switched jobs, took something in a bookstore hoping the quiet, the people something would change the pattern. It didn't. The texts followed. They knew I was nervous about the interview, knew I'd practiced my answers in the car. I told myself not to mention it to Sarah. What could she do? She'd just tell me to get a restraining order, and he hadn't done anything. Not really, just known, always known. I started varying my route home, taking back streets, different exits, pointless. He always accounted for it. I'd see a familiar dark car parked a few blocks away, never close enough to be certain, but always there. I began checking my rearview mirror compulsively, scanning every face in the grocery store. I even started leaving the TV on when I left the apartment. A white noise shield against what? I didn't know. A habit, born of a frantic need to feel less alone, less watched. It's expensive, but I can't bring myself to turn it off. The last one came just a few minutes ago. I was brushing my teeth, staring at my reflection, and the phone buzzed on the counter. "Sleep well, Thomas. I didn't bother locking the bedroom door tonight."